Hey, so it's midnight going into Monday morning. Got together with the fellas. This one's at least like an hour. It's an hour plus. Um, some Bucks talk, some Super Bowl talk. As I recall, the back end of this is a lot of complaining, and it's kind of fun. It's kind of late, and so if you're like, to the extent that I by the end we like finish the Middleton thing and it's pretty nice and everything, and some kind of way Kendrick with his like mental jujitsu like drags us back into a fight in the last 10 minutes and is like, guys, I gotta leave. So if you skip the last 10 minutes, I'm not gonna be mad at you, because even as I'm saying this, I'm just boring myself and I'm like, this has all been said before, so, but yeah, fun talk. A lot of Super Bowl halftime talk, as I recall, and not probably enough specifics as to the actual Sixers game, which was pretty awesome. But anyway, enjoy, I guess.
It was good. I was glad to see Philly win, but I hope Saquon would have got a little bit more action, but they shut down that run like crazy.
Is it still going on now?
I don't know. I shut it off.
I started cutting carrots. It was so bad. I was like, time to go to the other room and cut carrots. It's like 40-6 when I left or something.
40-22.
They can let. Oh man, I don't believe they let them score even that much.
Yeah, it's over. 40-22. Yeah, I'm surprised they got that much. Those commercials were terrible. I think this is the worst batch of commercials I've ever seen.
I can only say I think it's that way because usually I'm at a party, and at a party, you miss like 30%. So you're like, maybe I missed 30%. But
yeah.
I don't remember one movie trailer being shown, which I can't ever remember the last time I saw that. And I usually get hyped for movie trailers more than anything else.
Right. I was hoping there would be some, but
they did Thunderbirds.
Thunderbolts.
What I say, Thunderbirds is what the puppets.
Didn't somebody post to bring it back the what was that, the Silverhawks?
It's like the same thing.
They're bringing back the Silverhawks cartoon.
All right, so to the extent that we have an intro on this blessed week where the beloved dead weight of Khris Middleton has been like removed from the Bucks forever. Jay's here, Kendrick's here. The Super Bowl just apparently went off, and we're gonna do a quick 45 minutes, we think. So the Super Bowl just ended. Kendrick will let you drive the bus anywhere you want to go, but just to do a slight introduction.
Well, I will say this. I mean, since you started off with Khris Middleton, I will say that, I know you guys aren't big fans of him, but I want to send out, his flowers for whatever he did to get us the championship. That was a long 50-year drought. In fact, that was like my whole lifetime. I think, 2021, I turned 50. So that was cool, and I was always a fan of his because he was one of the remaining players that still kind of played the way that we kind of grew up watching basketball. That mid-range, finding your spot, working a guy that's smaller than you, finding those advantages, But, injuries took over. He missed, a good chunk of last year, and this year you could just tell that he really, really, really lost mobility. Will it come back? I don't know. I wish him well, though. I enjoyed his play. I enjoyed what he brought for the team. I enjoyed watching him and Giannis particularly kind of grow up, and develop and bring this team. I mean, because, for me, it's like I keep thinking of the crap teams that we had, signing like, players thinking that it was going to make this big difference, and just to get to the 8th seed, those were our big joys and hopes, and so to see the success that those two had was pretty fun. It's kind of sad, end of an era. It started with Drew leaving last year, even though he was only here 2 or 3 years. It was kind of like that breaking up of the core. And you see the handwriting on the wall. Lopez and maybe Bobby, will be gone. Who was it? 4 people left. Lopez, Bobby, Pat Connaughton, he's probably gone, and Giannis. That's it from that championship year. So, I mean, that was monumental for me. I was there for most of the games. I was there for the championship game, in the bowels of I always still say the Bradley Center of Pfizer, treating some of the players and stuff. It just meant a lot, entertainment wise, sideline wise, besides your regular life. It was just pretty big for, a Milwaukeean, to see that happen. So kudos to you, Khris, and goodbye. Hopefully you do well. We'll see what happens with him. I mean, I don't think they'll buy him out this year. They would have to pay him like $60 million, or prorate that. Why would he do that? He's got a player option next year. He'll exercise that, and they'll probably just try to buy him out or either try to trade him on an expiring contract. We'll see where he ends up. I don't think he'll retire though. I've seen rumors of that. Other than that, man, that was the biggest thing that I thought we wanted to talk about. The Super Bowl was kind of it was cool to see Philly win. I like I was telling you guys before, I was kind of hoping for a bigger game for Saquon. That's kind of why I was rooting for them. I didn't buy into all the conspiracy theories about the Chiefs and all that stuff. I mean, it's just sour grapes, and I just didn't. I don't watch a ton of NFL, so maybe that's why I don't feel that way either. But I just felt like it was just silly, people just hating on Kelsey and Taylor Swift. People just hate for no reason today.
Why are you so mild today?
Probably because of the 3 bourbons I had while I was watching the Super Bowl.
I had some weird like Corona lights or something. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. Rest in peace, Khris.
Yep.
Honestly, I mean, like I said, yeah, I agree with all that, more or less.
I'm happy you went first because it balanced me out because I had all this pent up energy from doing something I've never done before on one of these podcasts, which was listen to other people's podcasts about Khris Middleton, and that got me kind of fired up and angry. But you're right, this is the way it should be left. He just got old. Kudos to him. He did help the team for many years. Yep. And I won't say anything else because really I would be responding to other people, and because everything you said I think is true. So I won't go on that tangent.
Actually, and I feel like I actually can't wait to listen to all the Bucks podcasts again because I probably listen to too many podcasts. I should do more silence and kind of other things. It's just to be a little bit more balanced. But I like listening to all that stuff sort of at home or in the yard or walking the dog, but that stuff makes me mad at work. And that's where sometimes I'll like duck into my car and record 5 minutes or something, just because you have these takes that you want to get off and you got like this nervous energy because you're at work. So anything is better than work,
Yeah.
and then you come home and you don't really care, but it's just kind of so like the again, just go right to the negative stuff, but like the gaslighting of listening to this kind of stuff and people being like, oh, the second best player on a da-da-da. I will go back and listen to all that probably, but I'd more just kind of, I want to etch a sketch. I want like a clean slate where we can just be like, look, people still hate Brooke and there's Bobby and there's still, but just people can be like, wow, Gary Trent, he really looks good when he's hitting every shot, and as opposed to just kind of this legacy stuff. So I'm just ready. Like it, I know some people thought it was a bit. It was never really a bit. It's really frustrating to me that we weren't smarter through the years, but like it's all over now. And like you said, 2021 was dope, and it's just I'm just happy. I just can't believe it wasn't over like 5 years ago, but it's over now.
I mean, you think about it, it was really just injuries that really prevented them from doing anything. 2022 was it Giannis that was hurt?
And probably coaching.
A little bit,
It was a combination.
I think we put too much on coaching, and then we give people too much credit for coaching. I mean, look at Doc Rivers. I mean, he built this most of his career from that Boston team. And, having the high flyers and the dunkers with the Clippers. But I mean,
let me ask a question. I know where you're going with this. Let me ask a question. Do we think that Doc Rivers is a better coach than Budenholzer in the limited amount of time we've had him?
No.
You do not?
No, I think it's a push. I think it's a push.
I think he's obviously better. And you want to know why I think he's obviously better?
Why?
He's got young people that would have never got minutes looking good before the playoffs. Jackson Jr. is getting minutes. AJ Green looks great. Rollins looks pretty stinking good. Those guys would have never got time. And you need those guys to be ready before the playoffs. Those last 3 minutes when the game's a blowout either way, it's just like, let me get a quick shot, and no one actually plays basketball. To me, that's the hallmark of someone who's not going to just say, hey, same 8 guys, run to the corners, and just kind of stand there. We had AJ Green, right, when we had Budenholzer?
I will say this. Bud did play rookies. I mean, Dante got his shine and he moved on. He showed potential. He got his minutes. Brogdon showed, I mean, it was a second round draft pick. He came in and he played. He got his minutes. He showed. He tried to play DJ Wilson, but he was trash. But he gave them more than enough opportunities to show something. They just have come up super short with draft picks, since the very, very fortunate bounce of hiding and snagging or whatever deep-seated conspiracy theories they did to hide Giannis and draft him, but they really haven't drafted very well. I don't,
no, they
for
haven't.
us, it's just me focal looking in on the Bucks. I don't, other teams don't. It seems like other teams do a lot better job, so we just haven't really done very well drafting. And I thought Bud did play young guys that they show potential. Everybody's all high on Ajax, and I love his energy and effort, but that's all it is. He can't score a bucket. We need that, but we also need this dude to be able to at least score some buckets, because when he's out there, they don't defend him whatsoever.
Thank you for setting me up. Thank you for setting me up for this transition. That is why you shouldn't pray for Kuzma. Because I watched Kuzma today, and don't get me wrong, I have not watched him since he's been in Washington at all. However, I watched every minute of today's game, and what he does is exactly what you say we need.
Cutting.
He is defensively active. Like, I didn't know he was defensively active and carrying. That was my one fear, because when you go watch like highlights on YouTube, they just show a bunch of fast break alley-oops and like, well, this don't tell me anything about his game. Several times in the game, he just took Embiid. He was like, no, I've got it, and I'm gonna hit him with too much energy. He's not gonna know what to do with it, which is the Ajax game, right? Really?
Yeah.
And what he also does, and I'm not sure this is gonna work with Giannis on the floor because it's about spacing. However, he slashes and cuts and moves without the ball, and everyone else on the team never takes it all the way to the cup. Bobby's too slow. Lopez is too slow. Lillard will pull up from about 7 feet. He's taking it all the way to the hoop. Rollins is the only one who also has kind of a fast first step slasher game. And if you're going to have someone that big, the guy he's on is not as fast as he is. So imagine Giannis drawing a 3-person wall and then making the next pass to someone who's actually fast, who only wants to slash the hoop anyways. So as far as I'm concerned, great trade. Regardless of whether it's equal value what Middleton was 2 years ago, or right now, I don't think we can even rely on. The problem with Middleton is this. This is why it's always going to be a good trade. You did not know when he was going to be able to play, and you knew he could not move laterally to play defense, really. Yeah. So no matter what, you can't have all these guys on the floor letting every guy get by them and just feeding them all to Lopez, because that's not really working anymore at all either, to be honest.
No.
He's a little bit too slow, and he's making actually worse decisions too. And we can't rebound. He was aggressively rebounding today too, by the way, Kuzma. But there was some stupid moments. I won't act like there wasn't some.
Right.
Yeah. He made a real dumb play. But I mean, those are growing pains, and he hasn't. Doc said in the post game they haven't really done much with him as far as onboarding him with the Bucks philosophy. They're just letting him out there and getting some run. I thought it was a good trade. It's not like you're trading, 2019 Middleton for Kuzma. It's you're basically trading a guy who's, injuries and mobility and salary mostly. I think that, like I was telling you guys a lot of time, I said the biggest thing they're going to try to do, and most teams are trying to do, that were over that second apron, was get under that apron. I mean, they were
Yeah.
facing having their 20, their next pick, 2034 pick or 32 pick. I forget which round, but they were facing having that pick frozen, and then the 2031 pick dropped down to the bottom of that round. I mean, they were facing all sorts of penalties if they remained above that second apron another year. So it got them below the second apron. It got them some youth and some mobility. I think Kuzma will work out well. It's just, he has a reputation of being a numbskull. So on the court, as far as just doing mind-numbingly stupid things. So we'll see how it goes. If he just buys in and plays defense and gets rebounds, he's already third on the team in rebounds. There's only 2 games, but he's right behind Giannis and not Lopez, but Portis. So I mean, that's already a win. If he can get out there and do that, and I like the way he slashes and cuts to the rim and takes guys off the dribble sometimes. Khris was just too slow to do that.
Well,
and
again, we're giving him his flowers, and I'm not. I mean, again, I don't have to apologize for anything, but I mean, I'm not really. I'm just relaxed, man. It just feels great. I will say this: you can make a pretty good case that Khris never really had trade value, like ever. Like, even like 2021, like he wasn't an all-star in 2021. Like he was awful that regular season in 2021 until the playoffs started. Like I think he probably had the trade value of a Bledsoe-ish kind of level player most of kind of this whole time. And so now the super washed version of him with getting way too much money gets you like a Kuzma back, and we have to attach AJ. But there are only going to be so many teams who really want that kind of player, because like we've said a billion times, every single episode, every single podcast, every single YouTube, like it's a particular set of skills, but not every team wants. Like if he went to the Warriors, what's he going to do? Like if somehow we try, like Jimmy Butler's going to go to the Warriors, and I'm not really sure that that's going to work, but like there's a skill set there where he can fit around what they do. Khris is just going to slow stuff down and not start fights and do that. With that being said, though,
not start fights.
well, I mean, just not like like he just doesn't have that in him.
Oh, I hope so bad.
Well, we're playing them. We're playing them as you listen to this. We're playing them tonight. All I'm saying though is, I think if we would have figured out the Brook thing and somehow ditched Brook for an okay player, I think we win the title this year, because I think this makes. I'm not even saying Bobby is better than Khris in general. I think there have been many months where Bobby's been better than Khris, and there have been many months where Khris is better than Bobby. But like, this frees up those shots for Portis. And I was at the Charlotte game Wednesday, and this was kind of abundantly clear, because like he wants to operate in the same spaces that Khris wants to operate. He wants to go to the fadeaway, and he wants to set up. He does like 4 things. Like he shoots threes. He does the inside. If he gets really extended, he does the inside fadeaway that almost never goes in, where he's really drifting to 19 feet. And every once in a while he hits that, but you can tell that doesn't come out his hand right. That's not going in. And he wants the short fade. Like he does like 4 things. Yeah. And so Khris was doing a lot of that other stuff too. And it's not about like who's better, who's getting paid more. But I think if Kuzma can be energy guy, even for 1 year, and this frees Dame to just really take 27 shots regardless.
Yeah.
If we were somehow healthy, it might work. Like it probably won't work, but it could work.
I'm interested to see if this Sims, is it Jericho Sims, has anything, or what he is about. Like I said, I've never seen this. I think I've seen him play one time against the Bucks, but big dude, energy guy. But I'm curious to see what he's got. Because it seemed like, why would they give him? I know they had 2 other players ahead of him. And with Mitchell Robinson coming back, I understand why they felt like they could get rid of him. But I'm curious to see if he's got anything. And surprised I haven't seen him play any minutes yet. But,
maybe that makes me think maybe he's not that good. And I don't know anything about him. My son, who knew who he was, but apparently fairly young, big, fairly mobile, is what I've been
Yeah,
told.
20,
I've never
fairly
seen him
mobile,
play. Yeah, and
good jumper.
we need a Brook replacement, but
Yeah,
literally you're getting killed on the rebounds. Kuzma should help with that. If not, I'd love to see what. Imagine what a Giannis, Lopez, Kuzma lineup looks at for just rebounding and size and length. That's very hard to get around all of those guys, even if you're feeding to Lopez, right? You always going to have either probably Kuzma or Giannis on one side, opposite sides of the court, pushing towards Lopez. That's a lot of length that they have to get around on all those screens. So,
right. Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, the two games. I mean, I don't know how they lost that 21-point lead. That was disgusting.
Okay,
But
so real quick,
I missed that one.
let's do this
Yeah.
as a group. Let's do this as a group. 5 minutes.
okay,
Collectively, what are the top 5 Middleton games?
we're going back to Middleton.
I think people want to like. I can do
one
the
where
five.
he hit a three in the playoff game that's into overtime, and I was shocked because I left the house to go to a restaurant, and when I got to the restaurant, it was in overtime.
The
You know what
you're
Pacers.
I'm
talking about last year
The
against
Pacers
the
won, or the
Pacers?
Celtics won
Yeah.
a million years ago.
Celtics, it was multiple years ago. It was before the
Okay.
pandemic.
Oh,
Yeah.
2017. No, I wouldn't count that one.
Yeah, the last year was pretty good. I thought he played phenomenally last year, actually, in the playoffs. Um, him and Dame, they got us as far as we were going to go. I mean, it didn't work out, but a couple of those games, they were so close. They just didn't have enough missing Giannis. They had nobody else. All they had to do was double Dame, and then if Khris got the ball, if they didn't have if they got one defender on him, he couldn't be really he couldn't get beyond one defender at times. But I thought he played well last year, but in 2021, I mean, when Giannis goes down, what series was that? The Atlanta series?
Yep, Bucks.
Yeah, I mean, and even in the first round playing against Miami, I mean, what he had hit a couple of those game sealers against Duncan Robinson. I thought he played great in 2021. 2022, he missed most of that year again, right? Or no, I can't remember.
Okay, let me help. I don't have this in front of me, but let me.
I don't have it in front of me, so
help you out.
Let's
see if we can. This is not like to get my opinion out. Like just let's work backwards and tell me if you agree with this. Nothing last year. We lost to the Pacers, so that doesn't count. Nothing in 2023. 2022, he was out. Going backwards, I think. Going backwards from the championship, I would say both Game 4 and Game 5 against the Suns. I think because Game 5 is the most important game of my life, where Drew, Khris, and Giannis all showed up. So the game 4 was the one where kind of he took a million shots and everything worked out, and he played great after being kind of trashed the first 3 games. And I think that's important. So I think in the Sun series, Game 4 and 5, but I think Game 5 is like the greatest game in Bucks in the last 30 years to me. So in the Suns game, I would take those two. I would take Game 6 against the Hawks, even though Drew was just as good, if not better. But like the third quarter was like the third quarter was like
giving credit to what Khris did. I mean, we're
oh yeah, but he had like
you can't slide him because other players had good games too.
I was at that game, dude. He had 5 turnovers like immediately. And then he didn't.
Giannis has about 5 turnovers a game too.
No. Again,
you guys never bring up Giannis's turnovers. Never.
I'm saying Giannis got hurt, and Drew, Khris, and Brook were complete equals in those last couple of games.
Just for reference, when I say yes, I do not clearly state that Giannis's turnovers are a problem, but I do say Giannis is dumb. When I say that, it's because of the turnovers. So just for the future translation, when I say Giannis is dumb, it's always because he just made some dumb turnover. Doing something you shouldn't have tried.
So that's 3 to me. So going backwards, you have Game 4 and 5 against the Suns, and you have Game 6 against the Hawks, just for the iconography of Game 6 against the Hawks. Even though he didn't score in the fourth quarter.
Game 6 against the Hawks?
Against the Hawks that year, 2021. Who did we play in the second round? Oh,
Nets.
I think the best one of those was probably Game 6, and I think that counts. Like he was trash in Game 7, but Game 6 he was really good. Game 3 is the one where Drew hit the layup, but that was like the game 3 and 4. We just forced everything to Khris. Game 5 was the one where they played well and then they stopped playing well. And then he had like that 4-foot floater, but he shot it to Giannis and Giannis like let it go through his legs. That
Yeah.
was like a super frustrating game. I had just moved to a super frustrating game. I think you have to count one of those Nets games. So if I would say Nets game 6. So that's like 4 games from 2021. And then going backwards from there, I would say game 2 where we were about to go down 0-2 to the Kyrie Celtics and he went nuclear in like a second quarter
Yeah.
in 2018. No, 2019, right? Because 2019, then we lost the Raptors.
Yeah.
So that would have been second round against the Celtics. We never beat the Celtics. We beat the Celtics. And I think that was a continuation of the Khris Celtics killer thing that sort of was a lie, but sort of true, but mostly a lie.
Right.
But that's where that
It
comes
was
from.
fun.
Game two, I feel like he had 16 points in the second quarter or something crazy like that. And so
Yeah.
off the top of my head, now I can name the 5 worst games also, but I'm probably missing some, but those are big playoff games. And I think it's fair to say that as much as he drove us nuts and was never as good as people want him to be, he did make up for a lot of Giannis deficiencies, and he was always really good at getting the ball to Giannis. And
that was another thing that I would have given him his praise for. I mean, this kid comes in. So many people come in with these ginormous egos. They don't want to play second fiddle, and we heard about how those two used to go at it. When they both got sent there in 2013. You could have had a situation where a player would have had animosity towards Giannis, but he didn't. And you could say wherever you want about that. You don't see that a lot. He took on that role and fed Giannis and tried to make him shine and make him better and take whatever he could. I mean, those two were in the trenches together. I thought that was incredibly admirable for a player. You guys don't think he's very skilled, but I thought he was a pretty skilled player, especially in his youth. When he still could move, he was pretty good. His inside game. It was up there with Durant. As far as being able to stop him. I said up there. I'm not saying he's better. I'm just saying he was up there as far as. I mean, I would put him in that pantheon with Durant and with DeRozan. I mean, those guys, they're going to get their mid-range game off, and they're going to shoot it, and most of the time, they're going to hit it.
What's slight correction on my part? Sorry, jump in here. Brook Lopez game was game 5 against Atlanta, where he had shot 14 for 18 with 33 points. The Middleton game was game 6, where Middleton went. Let's see here. Middleton went 10 for 22 with 32 points, but he did have 7 turnovers. But big game anyway.
Yeah, and what did Drew have in game 6? I feel like Drew, if he had 7,
game 6, he had 20. He had 27 on 11 for 23.
And I bet you 5 turnovers, right? It was something crazy like that.
6 turnovers. It was a lot. It was 13 turnovers between both of them. Yeah.
Off the top of my head, top 5 worst Khris Middleton games. That game he choked. That game he choked against the Raptors, where then it was like, oh, I went to the hospital because I was so sick. Where he like grifted for a foul and then threw it to the official in the last minute. So that's when I first started being like, this guy kind of sucks. Definitely. I mean, we can go all postseason. If we want to go regular season, there's that time where like we were up 3 against the Jazz and he like did an up and down and then like didn't guard his man, and then the Jazz guy hit a 3, like one of the Bogdanovich's. Honorable mention in regular season is also the one where he like threw the ball the wrong way against the Nuggets, and then they're like they fouled what's his name for a 3-pointer. But I would say the game, certainly the game where he had the season on line, he passed it to Grayson Allen with 2.5 seconds, is definitely one of them. And look, he missed a shot game 3 against the Raptors. I don't care about game 3. Like, he missed a shot. Game 6 against the Raptors where he didn't shoot was definitely one of them, 2019. So, I mean, we can name some games. We could certainly name some games. And certainly there were, and then all the games in 2021 where he didn't allow us to win because he was awful. But I mean, that's more like charge it to the game kind of stuff. Like we couldn't win game 1 against the Hawks because of him, and probably, I think a lot of people would say, I want to say it was game 3 against the Hawks where he was awful the whole game and then hit like 5 threes in a row at the end. and ended up with like 36 or something like that. So I think a lot of people would put that on there. To me, it's like if you're going to do a retrospective, how many games against the Hawks can you really put in there? But I don't know. I think that was fun. I mean, that's a fair distillation of how much we love the guy, how much we hated the guy, but like just kind of the whole thing of it. With that being said, Kendrick,
Yes, sir.
top 5 Super Bowl performances, halftime.
All right.
We haven't done this already. I feel like we've done this.
We probably have. I feel like we've done it.
We've definitely done it.
I know I've done top.
Pod.
I know I've done top 5 Chris Middleton chokes too. So, yeah.
Oh man. I only remember a few. All right. So Michael Jackson was the first to break it open. And that funny enough was after In Living Color decided to broadcast their show during the halftime and stole like 20 million viewers from the Super Bowl. So then the following year they booked Michael Jackson to do their halftime show, and
I forgot about that.
He was the inauguration of major stars doing halftime shows.
That was Pasadena.
Yeah.
I didn't research this, but I all I do is watch Super Bowl. Like I feel like once a month my wife watches that, so I've seen that one a million times.
Yeah, where he comes up out of the bottom and he just stands there forever, and everybody's like, "Is he dead? Is he alive? Is he going to do something?"
The weird part about that one. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay.
Is because it's like it's sort of like a play the hits thing, but it's Jam era, right? So it's Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. So it's like there's this weird thing that obviously everybody knows, but I don't feel like anybody's ever like said, or I've never read an article where it's like, so that Minnesota sound, right? So like Janet has it with Control,
yeah,
and like Rhythm Nation, and then like by the time that came around, like Teddy Riley or whatever else, like the New Jack Swing of it, like Dangerous is like a New Jack Swing album,
right?
You know what I mean? So like,
yeah,
so it's weird that like in the '92 Pasadena Super Bowl, they're like finishing it with like Heal the World and like these like D-level Michael Jackson tracks. Like I'm pretty sure it ends with like, and like Black or White was like more about the Terminator face melding than like the actual song, but yeah, that's only the kind of the weird thing about that is it's like it's full. It's the New Jack Swing Michael Jackson, and it's not like a play the hits kind of thing quite as much. So sorry, but yeah, that's the interesting thing about that one. I would say that's probably number 2 for me. Like Prince is number 1 to me.
Yeah, I hear that a lot, and I can't argue with that. I agree with it. I mean, then who we got? We just went through. I'm looking at them now, and I don't really remember a lot of these.
The one, or Jay, you can jump in whenever, but the one that sticks in my head is not in front of me either.
The one where Janet Jackson had the wardrobe malfunction.
Coldplay, Bruno Mars, Beyonce is the best
Bruno
version.
Mars was big. Bruno Mars was really.
Yes, it's
I didn't like Bruno Mars at the time.
I didn't know who he was at the time, so I mean, that when I first seen him, I was like, "Wow, this kid is good. He's an entertainer."
Jay, you know how it's like you remember by like what party you were at, and I there was one. I didn't think I knew who he was when he was playing the drums, but I feel like that was the one at Greg's house where it was like Broncos. Maybe that was Broncos, Panthers. I don't. I remember being at the house, but there's one where he just plays the drums, and to me, that's not. He does like this big drum solo.
There was Bruno Mars was with Red Hot Chili Peppers in 2014. And he did it with Coldplay and 2016 as well. So I think 2014 with Chili Peppers was one I really liked more than the Coldplay.
Yeah. So I think it was probably the last. Well, he did. Didn't he do? He did a couple of them. He did one with Beyonce too, right?
I like that one. I like that one better, but I've sseen that one more. But to me, that's what I want is like one guy starts and then somebody else jumps in here, and then it's like, there's no point.
A lot of people.
I want medleys.
Yeah.
I want. Oh my God, it's Elton John, and I want that kind of thing. more
Right.
than like. And I don't know the room you guys were in, like it was like an upstairs downstairs, and so some people were kind of feeling it. But that Kendrick thing, that was like, to me, that was like an NBA All Star level performance. Like,
Yeah,
I just
I was talking about it like literally. I had my sound system, like I said, I had my sound system up, so it was hitting like as far
hmm,
as beat, but like perform. You'd be like, if you had to guess how much money they spent on that outside of performances and costumes, you take that out. And when I say costumes, it's not like the Katy Perry where like that's probably a $4,000 bespoke
right,
costume so he can dance in it. It was just
right,
like, hey, get a red one, a white one, and a blue one on each one of these jumpsuits.
dude.
It seemed like they were trying to save money. Am I wrong? Did it seem like it's
He,
like, can we get this under 10,000?
I
Like,
understand. I understand
what
Kendrick
props were
now.
there?
Now we sound like men on film, but it's like, yo, man. I mean, look, it's no wardrobe changes, right? Like he just wore the bomber jacket, he like the leather jacket. Like, did he?
yeah.
And
I
he had a
didn't.
car in the back that they had like before they cut the lights. But when they cut the lights off, I feel like it was only in silhouette where you couldn't even see the car. And that was the only prop.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
didn't
guess
like
that's
it.
right.
And I guess I know a few of his songs. He's those a couple of those duets with SZA. Is that how you say her name? I think are good, but I mean, how many times can you hear "They Not Like Us"? I'm just like, okay, already. I don't know, whatever. It's just not my thing. But
The Super Bowl is supposed to be a spectacle. That's where I really feel like
it felt kind of flat to me.
Yeah.
like
The
if all of a
performance,
sudden
the
Diddy flew
visuals
in
of it all.
and
And I don't know if
he
it was just my
the
TV, my
sky.
sound system, but the 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 music and the audio, it wasn't blended well. I don't know how you want to call that, but I don't know. It was just okay to me. I don't think it was a failure,
He's
but it
not
was
that.
just
Where's
okay.
where's Crib to be like? He's not that guy. He's not that guy. He's not that
I
guy.
I think he's a pretty huge, pretty popular, but
Not
it wasn't
everyone's a
for
Super
me.
Bowl
It just
performer.
wasn't for me.
To me, not everything's a Super Bowl performer. Like you can be a very great artist. I can really enjoy your music. That doesn't mean you performing at the Super Bowl is going to carry by yourself. Like really think about what it takes to carry it by yourself. You need to like there was no moves he was gonna do that you're gonna be like, oh snap. Like
Right.
Bruno Mars was completely all swag the whole 15, 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And basically he did every hip hop video walk at the camera and just kind of move side to side the whole time.
Dude, who was
Yeah.
his boy? Like, and I don't care if I'm washed. So it's like, here's some other guy. You're like,
I don't
hey,
know.
other
I didn't
guy.
even realize that was Serena until I seen it on social
Oh, I
media.
recognize that.
I was trying to
He
place
was
it.
only up for like a
She
second
seemed
and a half though,
familiar,
right?
but I was like, "Who is this?" But I
dude.
just couldn't remember.
So
But I'm old, so whatever. It's for the kids. I didn't.
a good example to me of a guy who couldn't really dance, but like that weekend show was an incredible show, and that was full COVID, mass COVID. But like the mirrors and like the crazy, then he's like in
I
the
literally said the same
yeah,
thing to my
yeah,
wife 30 minutes. I was like, literally, they did the same thing, just walk towards the camera. But the spectacle of the mirrors and him grabbing the camera and it being kind of like trippy in its very nature of the way it was shot
right.
showed just a level of artistry that was interesting and seemed more like a Super Bowl performance.
And I think it was a COVID-y kind of thing that eventually he ends up on the ground, but they like went to the concourse. Like it's like the first bit of it is the mirror part, but then also he's just on like the loge level or whatever, and then eventually it's on the ground. But like his dudes with like the weekend is definitely a top. I don't, music's sort of okay to me. Like I was like, okay, I do know some of these songs, it's cool or whatever, but like I think it's a top 10 Super Bowl halftime show. Even though when I watched it, I was like, well, this guy, like, what? It's just this dude by himself, and he's kind of shaking his butt, but he's not really dancing. It was just kind of, but like compared to this Kendrick, like it washes the Kendrick Lamar show to me.
Remember when Lady Gaga just jumped off that building to start it? And she just jumped out of frame. Still funny to me this day.
Dude, I, 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 um, I was anxiously nervous. It's a weird kind of thing. Like, shoot, straight up. Even though we're talking about this is gonna be the dumbest thing I've ever said on this podcast. I didn't like Spider-Verse because I don't want to see no pregnant woman, like no pregnant Spider-Woman. And I was nervous watching pregnant Rihanna go up on those like Donkey Kong
Oh, I
platforms.
forgot about that.
I
No,
was
that was
anxious. I was anxious. I was like, what if she falls?
right.
And it's like
Yeah.
dumb, yo. It's like, okay, so obviously she's not gonna fall. But the whole time I'm like, this is sort of cool. Uh, Also, please don't fall and kill your baby, right? Like it was like the whole thing. Like, and she wasn't moving at all. But
Oh,
at least it was like the elevation. Even that was like something else. So it's like I can't really pick like Katy Perry was objectively a good show. I think I remember.
She was, because I don't really like her music, and I still remember like whatever that banana that got off rhythm still tickles me too.
Right.
It was a banana, was it a banana dancing, or somebody in a banana suit, or is it a rocket? No, it was some kind of aquatic animal. Oh crap! I
Left
gotta look
shark.
this.
Left shark. Left shark. That's what it
Oh,
was.
yeah, that's right. It was no, that was a great show because I don't like her music or her really at all, and I was still very entertained.
Um,
did you guys like the hip hop throwback one? Was that 2022?
I was just gonna ask you.
Dr.
So
It's
Dre.
better than
I
this.
think I try not to like put that in the list because that was the first like party I did like after leaving my house from COVID. So I had just too much energy from being pent up where it was just this is amazing, but it was probably just fine, you know.
I thought it was good. I thought it was better than this. I thought it was better than Kendrick Lamar's for
So I
sure.
think
Oh yeah, but I mean, just star power. Like Kendrick Lamar. Look, Kendrick Lamar. Come on, man.
She could have had another. I mean, he had SZA, but it would have been nice to see a couple other people.
It's
But
But even like okay,
beyond
so Kendrick, even like that, right? Like if I'm
yeah.
the producer of that, and maybe they tell me to pound sand, but I'm like, why don't you do in the club and 50, why don't you perform my name is, and why don't you mix it up or you perform each other's stuff, or there's like
Oh
like they were like, hey, we're just gonna have them upside down like that video, and we're gonna have
yeah, it looked real stupid.
and hey, we're gonna have like this all white set that's going to look like different parts of like the area or whatever. And there's like Mary, but even that, okay, Mary J. Blige is in that one at the end. There's a
Yeah,
lot going on.
it was
Like,
a lot.
but like to me, like the whole point is to give me something that I wouldn't see normally. I don't get on
right,
Spotify. It's to have some crazy collaboration, like it's the Kennedy Center kind of stuff.
right.
Okay.
They should have had like a turntable or mystery box where somebody comes out and just does the they not like us hook.
Yeah.
Where it's like he barely ever sings the chorus. You bring out a different star or musician, and maybe they intertwine some of their famous lyrics into it before they say they're not like us. But literally, you need other people because they've been like, oh look at they brought Stevie Wonder out. He don't even know where he at.
Right. Right. And and people were
You
saying
don't know what to
before
talk about.
it should have been Lil Wayne just because it was New Orleans,
New
but like
Orleans.
it should have, but it should have
Yes,
been somebody.
exactly. A local plug, like throwing beignets, throw something in there, right? There was no production
He
value.
said throwing beignets.
Dude, but the worst part of it, and again, I'm again only in moderation having light beers, but like there was a point where I looked up and they're just like on the street lamp, and he's like rapping in front of these like five other people, and it's just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm like, what is this, dude? Like, it was just
I
like,
just thought
okay,
it was kind of I just thought it felt kind of flat. It
Kendrick
just didn't.
Lamar, I'm rapping over here, and now I'm rapping over there, and now I'm rapping
Yeah,
over
I'm
here, and now I'm
walking over
rapping with this other
here. I'm
dude.
walking back towards these people.
Now,
You know,
now
the
here,
choreography was pretty good, but it
now
just
I'm
felt kind of flat.
rapping by this other guy with no charisma, and now it's over. And here's SZA, and that's straight, and then it was over.
What'd you guys think about Usher last year?
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Better than this. Better than this. Where I was, the sound system wasn't up though, so it's hard. I don't want to like judge it too harshly because when you have hear music over like everyone talking, it's like
Yeah, that's how it
it's not
was with me with Rihanna. Like I didn't even watch it. I seen that she was pregnant. I didn't know she was pregnant, and she's just standing there, and we couldn't really hear
Oh,
because there was so many people and laughing and talking and stuff. And I
dude,
that one I don't even remember it. I
you
just
know what?
remember she was pregnant.
You know what I remember thinking about the Usher one is, and this goes back to like what people want to do versus what would be crowd pleasing. Like, cause wasn't it Alicia Keys?
Yeah. Alicia Keys, Jermaine Dupri, he looked like a goof.
Oh, that's right.
Had
I
on
can't,
had
I
on
can't,
a little boy suit, a little boy blue outfit,
I can't
all in
even,
black.
I can't even picture it. But I remember
Her,
thinking,
Will I Am, Lil Jon, Ludacris.
was that
Yeah,
last
I
time?
thought
Well,
That was
that's, I
last
mean,
year.
so think about how much every single one of them is better than Kendrick Lamar. Like again, I'm old. Like Ludacris has more. Ludacris and Little John have more bangers than Kendrick Lamar. Like
Yeah.
by
To
orders of
be
magnitude.
fair, when they announced Kendrick Lamar, in my head, I'm like, how good could this really be?
Yeah.
Like immediately, and I don't necessarily say that with all the other, like when they announce most of these people, I'm like, all right, I can kind of see where this might go. But like with Kendrick, as soon as it was announced, I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I don't know what you can do with this just out the box, right?
Well, I
Like,
think that
has
period.
anyone sung anyone else's music besides Prince?
I don't
What's
know.
that?
Like
Has
done like a cover where he was
Prince
doing
did
like
multiple songs that were
Foo
not
Fighter
his?
covers, and he did like the Hendrix
Right.
or the watch. Yeah.
I just think that any hip hop artist, I mean, you think about what does a hip hop move do? They bob their hand up and down, they wave it side to side. You know what I mean? They swag back and forth across the stage, they squat down. You know, unless you know their music, there is not a good performance most of the time.
Kendrick, it's like they gave Kendrick Lamar the Super Bowl for winning that Drake beef, like they gave Khris that 2022 All Star for like winning the championship. It was like, hey, here's a celebration of you winning that beef. Like you won that beef, so now and it was like, wait, well, I'm not a Super Bowl caliber performer by myself. Like think
Yeah.
no. So anyway, with Usher, I was like, why isn't this Chili? Like I know it's his ex-wife or
Right,
whatever, they got beef
exactly.
or whatever, but I was like, if all of a sudden it was like, oh my god, it's Usher and Chili, like from TLC, you'd have
Yeah.
been like, I mean, this kind of goes back to the whole thing of like,
bowl of chili. What do you
yeah,
think we thought you meant?
yeah,
Oh my God, I've never seen him with
right,
Hormel
Yeah,
spicy.
we appreciate you clearing that up for us.
yeah. So number one, my internet connection is unstable. Number one, Prince. Somewhere in there, Michael Jackson. Like if it's not top three, my favorite of the Bruno Mars is Bruno Mars, Beyonce, and
Yeah.
Coldplay because I like Coldplay to a reasonable degree.
Yeah, I like that one.
Usher was cool. I mean, we're gonna sort of pick more of the black act. Like, what was the best white act? Like all those Beatle acts and
You
Stones
mean
and
main
stuff are
person?
washed. I mean, just anything. Like, what was the best one? Like, I'm trying to think. Like, to be fair, I don't care about no Springsteen like that. Like, that's a
We're
million.
not counting Red Hot Chili Peppers, right?
Justin Timberlake.
Who were they? Who were they with?
When he was welcome back
Timberlake.
after ripping off.
I remember Timberlake. That was in
nipple
the
cover.
That was the basement on 84th Street.
Yeah.
I remember that party. Was it a good show? Like it's all.
I think
You talking about the second one or the first one with Janet?
The one with Janet. I feel like the one with Janet was the Jake Delhomme Super Bowl where they couldn't quite beat Tom Brady. That was the one where Vinatieri won that game, I want to say.
Let me see.
I hope this conversation is interesting to somebody because
this will be so boring, terrible. You know, everybody, we getting it all wrong. We can't remember all the details.
The Bucks are winning the championship, but I want to talk Super Bowl halftimes. And
that was Justin Timberlake, P. Diddy, Nelly, Kid Rock, Janet Jackson, Jessica Simpson.
So listen to that, right? Listen to that list. I feel like Stefani's done it once, but like it was always like 5 people. Like, have we fallen so far that you could have a show with Kid Rock and Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake? And
it's not always been that way. I mean, Paul McCartney did his own show. Rolling Stones did their own show. Prince did his own show. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers did their own show. Bruce Springsteen did his own show. So it's not.
Go ahead and read the list. Who else are we forgetting?
Katy Perry was with
Lenny Kravitz. The Who did their own. The Black Keys did their own.
Katy Perry was with Lenny Kravitz.
Madonna did her own.
Yep.
It's actually, now that I'm looking at it, it's almost rare that there is a bunch of other people. So
I kind of want to put the Weeknd in the top 5, but again, we've probably smashed.
I didn't like that show. I
didn't like it so much at the time, but then when you watch it again, it's visually really interesting.
I gotta check it out again.
All right, enough of that. Did we take any moral victories from the fact that the Packers played the Eagles just about as well as anybody?
No.
I do only because, like I said, there was that booty call to start the game, and we Look, I think we would have been in that game if it wasn't for an early booty call by the refs that basically just swung it. Right? What do we lose? 10-22 or something like that?
I don't think
It
you
was 22 to
one
something.
call you're gonna give it one call.
When you start with the ball and they give them a touchdown off you starting with the ball, yes, that's like detrimental to everything.
It's not like we're
Especially
saying we should have won, but it made it really
Love
hard.
did not.
Right.
Yeah, okay. I accept that.
So
Love didn't play
I'm
very
not
well
saying
at
we would have
all.
won, but like literally, I do take solace that
22 to
the
10.
Golden Boy Mahomes, with all these calls from the refs, still got his throat stomped on tonight. Way worse than the Packers.
What do you
In a
think
way,
about Josh Jacobs, our brand new running back, 1 year, saying, "Yeah, we need a number one wide receiver. We just ain't got that. We need one of those." That's kind of that's a pretty big, bold statement. I mean, I agree with him, but I was kind of surprised to hear him come out and say that. Most people are a little bit more measured in what they say.
Dude, okay, so again, you always have to remember that I sound like a know-it-all on all topics, but I'll tell you, I don't keep up with this that much, and I don't read any of these athletic articles, and I don't keep like even with the Bucks, I don't anymore. But there was a time we read every little bit of stuff on the Bucks, like that's
Yeah,
a million years ago. But like, so the season starts, and every Packers season is like the Andy Griffith show as far as good vibes, like just about my whole life, right? There's a
yeah.
year Sterling Sharp kind of held out. I mean, going back to Mossy K, there's a few bumps, but generally speaking, Packers coverage is positive, and the guys ride the bikes with the kids to camp and all that. And when what's his name, the wide receiver, like didn't play, that cloak of mental illness got thrown on that joint, and it was just like, oh no, he just has what was it? He had anxiety or he had whatever. When
Oh, you're talking about
I can't,
Dobbs?
the Dobbs thing happened, and then he came back, and people were crying, and it was like, oh, it's so brave and everything. But when the season ended, Musgrave and a bunch of other people were like, the stuff that happened this year can never happen again. Basically, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. And then Jacobs is like, hey, we need a number one. No, no shade, but we need and all of a sudden it was like some people, there's like this weird subtext of like trouble in paradise. And,
Mm.
and I don't know if anybody else noticed. I could just be making it up, but it was like at the end of the season, multiple people were like, "We gotta we gotta be dedicated again, right?
Yeah,
We gotta
because
rededicate ourselves to winning culture."
the
And it
the
was like,
tight
"Where does
end
this
came
coming
out and
from?"
said some stuff too. Yeah, what's the tight end's name? Uh, uh, Packers tight end caught a lot of catches this year. He's like, yeah,
But
next year I'm going to be more vocal. We need to really step up, and
okay,
I kind
yes,
of felt it falling apart.
Tucker Craft.
yes,
Kraft
okay, right,
Kraft
right,
was
right, right,
saying that
right, right, right,
he
right.
felt it falling apart, and people are like, well, why didn't you do something then? But
Some white guy.
they were some,
Kendrick,
yeah.
does it offend you that they traded Middleton for the most light skinned player of all time in Kuzma? Like
No,
I
not
knew
at
you
all.
had,
Not at all.
he,
I see, I thought it
he
would
like
happen. I was just curious on who they were going to get. Everybody was like, "Oh, I'll get Jimmy. Oh, I'll get Beal. Oh, I'll get this," and I'm just like, the Bucks cannot afford another $50 million+ a year player. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think you guys felt like I was hanging on and trying to hold on to Middleton. I'm like, no, but we got to. I know we got to shed salary, and he can't play, so it's pretty much done for him. I felt it was a wrap when I
I'm
seen
just
him
going on
just
the record
just
now.
when I seen him just hip checking people and just throwing his hip into people when he already knew that they were going past him. Like, if you can decide to throw your hip into him, why don't you move your feet? But I was like, it's done. He's going to get traded. I felt it, but I was just like, how are they going to do it, and what are we going to get back? Kuzma
Yeah,
was a disappointment. I mean, I wish they could have shot their shot on. I know that was another thing I wanted to bring up. I wish they could have did something to try to get Cam
Cam
Johnson
Johnson.
from the Brooklyn, but that was the other thing. It's like Washington was the only one that was willing to probably deal with and do that. You're only as valuable as somebody is willing to pay for it. So,
all right, hypothetical time. Would you trade Middleton? This is pre deadline trades. Would you have traded if available and the money worked out? Middleton, Bobby Portis, Connington, and Ajax for Davis.
No.
Oh yeah.
But they gave up for Luca.
Anthony Davis? No, I would never trade for Anthony Davis.
Dude, did you
Never.
Oh,
watch
I'd have
that
traded
first
for him.
game? It
Yeah.
was so
No.
funny. In the first quarter, I'm watching highlights and he's screaming, he's scoring, and he's pointing to the ground saying, I'm here, I'm here.
This, yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah.
by the fourth quarter, he was injured and
Ah,
everything.
ah. And I thought he was kind of like maybe faking because he got burnt on that play, but I'm talking
Nope.
about he out indefinitely with a adductor strain. I'm like, man, this cat is fine. China, Mr. Glass. Every time I see him, I see Samuel L. in that purple suit and that wheelchair, man. I'm just like, this cat is just man. And
It's
I didn't see your conspiracy theory, but I don't. You can tell me if this is what it was because I just heard. So my buddy told me that rumor has it that they want a new arena or whatever, and they're gonna
it's
start
more
tanking and try to get in Las Vegas or somewhere else.
kind of. It's a threat. So the way the conspiracy theory works out is they want a worse team so people don't show up so that they can threaten taking the team to Vegas because they really want a gambling in Texas. And
Yeah,
they're
that's what I
trying,
heard.
they've been, yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes much more sense than trading Luca straight up for Davis. Also, it's messed up the way they've been just saying Luca's fat and blah, blah, blah.
It's so
Yo,
funny.
Joker been fat for 3 years. Y'all keep giving him the MVP. Nobody bringing that mess up.
Oh, he's way better than Luca though.
Luca is fat, and Luca plays phenomenal, and his shape. He's always injured, but he was
That's why
he
it's
was
messed up.
playing so hard. He almost got them through. I mean, he was in the finals last year. My
They were like,
goodness.
listen here, fat guy. We don't want your fat supremacy to take you all the way to the end, and you got real close last year. It don't make sense.
Well,
Joker won a championship, super
I could
fat,
not
looks
believe the
like
owner
six
doubled
million.
down and said we need to set a proper example of trying hard, and we just weren't getting that. I'm like, wow, this kid was literally bleeding on the court for you guys last
well,
year.
the joke of the night was, or one of the tweets of the night was, Mahomes is playing bad, so we should trade him and then say that he was fat. It's just like, so it was a pretty interesting story. I think, like, I don't like Luca. Like, I don't like any player who plays like that. It's just kind of a variation of Harder and like really good player and everything. But like, it's not really my cup of tea.
Yeah.
The kind of House of Strauss, Easton Strauss, kind of multiple podcasts and articles about this to summarize the conjecture. And we talked about some of this. So he gets traded, and so it's 2 days of everybody dunking on him, and that's probably of the GM. But the context, not to forgive, but the context is that the Nico Harrison guy was Kobe's fixer at Nike. Like, Kobe leaves his agent to go with this guy at whatever agency. Like, he's been with Kobe he's been with the Mamba mentality this whole time. But he's not really so. But then Cuban, in this weird kind of thing that's not really investigated, sells the team. But like, Cuban is Jerry Jones. Like, you're working with him. But like, that dude, so like, they pulled the rug under this dude because Cuban is always going to be half the GM, except Cuban don't own the team no more, right? So
Yeah.
this other guy who's in love with the Mamba mentality is like, are we really going to give $300 million to this fat dude who's not returning my calls? And that's kind of the way it went. But it's not like Nico Harrison didn't necessarily have agency, but he's a Nike rep, became an agent. That's before you get into the fact that Pelinka works for the Lakers, who was Kobe's agent. So it's like all incestuous, like on all sides of it. And right at the end, Pelinka like shanked his boy, like, and Harrison, because he's a Nike guy, like didn't have that. He didn't have like the understanding that he was going to get raked for not getting a million picks, because that's how it works. Like, everybody's going to be like, you need an infinite swaps and infinite picks, and obviously that makes sense. But like, if you just take it to a personal level, Palenka and Harrison are boys. Cuban was always pulling the strings until he sold it to this other chick who's like basically like a mob boss. And that's before you get into all the other intrigue of maybe they want to move, maybe this. Now it's a new owner, blah 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 blah. But it's like
Mm,
it's like a really interesting personality kind of thing, and you can understand when they're like they got his physicals too, and they're just like it's not going to work with this guy. But obviously,
yeah.
that's not the way the NBA works, so we should still make fun of him. But it's more interesting when you understand. I mean, it's just like, dude, right at the end with the Khris thing again. Back to that. Then all of a sudden, like, there was these leaks that like that month after he was cleared, where he didn't play, was somehow the last straw.
Mm-mm.
And it's like, well, where did that come from, right? But it's like, I don't know. When you get context for like stories, it makes a lot more. It's a lot more interesting to me than just like they did this, they did X, so therefore Y. To me.
Yeah. I knew what I wanted to say earlier when you were saying sometimes you listen to these podcasts and they get annoying. I was so annoyed with listening to the post draft or the post trade deadline podcast.
Oh, I didn't listen to
Everybody's
any of
acting
it.
like, oh, this and this and this. I'm like, man, they got what they could get. It isn't like nobody. They see how Pat Connaughton plays. You know, they see Middleton is broke down now. You know, they see that Lopez is slow as a glacier or honey through cold water. I mean, they know all of that. They know that value. I'm like, get out of here. Nobody's just going to take our riffraff because it makes
Right.
sense on a
So yeah,
trade
yes.
app, you know?
And to me, that's why I tried. That's why I was happy you went first because I was going to come in real hot, and it was going to be fairly hard, Chris Middleton. But it's not his fault because I'd listened to these morons talk about we shouldn't have got rid of him or we should have got more, and I'm just like, are you not watching the games? Like he can't move and he barely plays. What are you talking about? Like I'm thinking you literally have not been watching. It's one thing if you're like respecting what he's done or you enjoy watching him and you start watching the Bucks the whole time, all that stuff. But like I'm pretty sure they shot a shot across your bow, B, because I heard I'm happy he's gone now because now who are you going to complain about when you can't complain about Middleton? I don't even know who I'm doing an impersonation of because I was listening to
I
three
like
different
it.
ones.
You nailed
Literally, I
it.
heard
You
that
nailed
and
it.
I'm
That was
like,
No,
oh,
I
okay.
heard
I
that
see
too,
what
and
you're
I
talking.
thought, oh yeah, let's see what the
was
barbershop says now.
was it Justin
First
Garcia?
of all,
Because like
middle.
like I don't even
I
know how
was
I got
still
sideways with that guy. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so like literally, all I'm saying is this: things you have also heard us say this whole time. The Bucks are stupid.
Mm-hmm.
That was not a. We never said Middleton was stupid. Whenever we said someone was stupid, we said the Bucks were stupid because it wasn't just him.
Giannis
Him
down. Starts with
and
Giannis.
Giannis and Drew did some dumb stuff. We should have won a lot of games by 20, but they kept making dumb mistakes that no one should make. And now, to Kendrick's point, Damian Lillard makes a lot of dumb, boneheaded turnovers too
Yep.
that lead to easy buckets because he's being lazy on passes. Like that stuff should never happen. It's just you being lazy, right? So
Yeah,
it's going to continue.
yeah,
It's going to continue with
probably.
other guys. But like literally, even if Kuzma's an idiot, at least he can possibly play defense. That's all I'm saying.
Um.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so
I think he can.
so I'm sorry now to go to the dark side of the force, and we can do this real quick. Cause yeah, like here's the thing, man. It's all fun, right? It's all love, more or less. But it's projection, man. Like these people are like Bruce City Paul is out here talking about I'm never gonna root for the Bucks again. It's like my guy on your Twitter page. It's you on a bench welcoming Giannis to Milwaukee in 2017, where some kind of way you got that hookup. You're not gonna follow the Bucks because they traded Chris Middleton after a dozen years, dude. I went to a Bucks game Wednesday with I've been taking my son to a Bucks game every year. This my son is 13, almost 14. This will be the first game I took him to where Chris Middleton like wasn't on the team. He's been on the team forever. But let me say one more thing about this. And yeah, like I'm the Bucks video guy, but like people make Bucks videos, right?
Yeah.
People dabble. People make Bucks videos. They suck because people don't put in the work. But if like people put in the work, they can make better videos than me, right? Where are the Chris Middleton? Where are the tributes? Where are the Middleton tributes?
Oh, there's a lot. I've seen him.
What are I don't mean the ones where it says Bucks 31, Nets 22 on the bottom, like with a bunch of mid range and a bunch of stuff that they sold. Where are the videos?
Yeah.
Where are the video? Like you got a dozen years of highlights. Somebody can make a dope Chris Middleton video. Like where's all the stuff? Like people wanted like Windish. All these people wanted to get out. I can't believe it. Looks like dude, it's 2025 And everybody, like, it was your personality. You made it part of your personality. He's so underrated. Like, you nerds got into this game by like glazing this guy, and he became like, and frankly, it's because it's like Middleton's like a perfect avatar because he didn't like ever really talk that much. Like, all he did was like come on the court and sweat and not say a whole lot. And he's kind of funny.
Moist Jordan.
And he's kind of funny looking with a bad hairline and like the whole thing. And it was like, you guys attached yourself to this guy. I wanted to win championships, right? You wanted to be like a meme stock. And we went years and years past it. And it's the reason why nobody remembers that Brook Lopez had 36 points in that game against the Hawk or whatever. Nobody even knows that. I don't know that, right? Because the whole thing was fixated all this. And guess what we found out through reporting? Through reporting, we found out that everybody was pissed off that he didn't play for a month after he was cleared, right? But nobody knew it because it's like this bubble around this whole thing. So again, whoever's hate listening to this, I forgive all of y'all. But like it wasn't me. Like you guys had this unnatural parasocial relationship with a dude who
you had
millions and millions of
come
dollars.
on, man. You had the exact opposite. Like you guys were
but we told you,
not
man.
open to any agreement. Like Ben had the exact opposite. Like, because they were so positive about him, you felt you had to come with almost equal amount of energy negative towards him. So that's what it appears on the outside looking in. That's how I see it.
I want to win basketball games.
You won a ton of basketball games. The Budenholzer years were the winningest franchise. The Bucks were the winningest franchise for like four or five of the years that that Bud was our coach. He was the winningest coach in Bucks history. And all that time, it was with Khris, Middleton, and Giannis. So, I mean, I think that you ignore a lot of the positivities because you don't, he might have a turnover or he didn't want to play. You're looking at his injury years. Nobody talks about Giannis missed almost as many years.
That one injury year.
The 2 years that we didn't make it past the first round, guess who wasn't playing? Or guess who was hurt and trying to play? Giannis. Giannis was more injured than anybody. 1 year was Khris. Then the next 2 years, Giannis, we almost lost. I mean, I don't know how he made it back for the championship, but he did. But then, he was gone most of last year, right? Didn't play any playoffs. And he got hurt the year before that, too. It's just everybody wants to criticize. Anyway, we gave him his flowers.
Giannis looks offensively better this year. It looks like he has a mid-range that's legitimate. Although
I think he just gave up on trying to shoot that stupid three. He just focused on and that mid-range is finally hitting for him. Yep, yeah. I agree. Go ahead.
But I'm saying this specifically to say Giannis has changed too. Giannis used to be kind of a legitimate, wholesome dude who was a legitimate hard worker. And he hadn't been spoiled by being in the league for so long and seeing so much success. Because he is turning into everybody else, which is these guys got to get up out of here if they're not going to ride. And I'm not necessarily mad at that. But his words reflect that it's not his fault when it really was.
2008 LeBron.
In some of those playoff losses. And that's a lack of humility that I hadn't seen in him in any of them early years. He literally, and then as much as you might think, that junk does matter to not only your teammates, but to your work ethic. Because as soon as you start blaming people, you know what you're not probably doing? Blaming yourself for anything anymore. And that's how you actually work harder to get better or take accountability. Because he's not putting up his hands to get these rebounds, really. He's not really boxing out. Matter of fact, why do you think we went on that 10-game win streak? Nothing really changed. It was the same personnel, which meant it was a lack of attention and trying hard. That's all it was. And if you practice, you can't. Bombs will tell you that the regular season doesn't matter. The regular season matters a ton because you pick up your habits, right? Mm-hmm. You can't just turn it on in the playoffs. That's why Durant and all these super teams never work because they always rely on that we're better than everyone else in a 7-game series. But you're not when you haven't practiced diving to the floor, boxing out, getting your hands ready because it's muscle memory for that stuff too. If you don't think that's important, guess what? In the playoffs, you're going to think it's someone else's job and point a finger somewhere else. And that's what he's doing. Sorry, I didn't know I was going to turn into a Giannis rant, but
Yep.
but there's a reason why we win some games and lose some games. There's a reason why some games we keep them under 90 and sometimes they don't score 130. It is lack of attention to the small things and working hard. That's all it is.
So Kendrick, and I generally agree with what you're saying, but again, this goes back to this love affair between Khris and Giannis, that this fabricated thing the whole time Thanos was on the team. Also, had we been a defensive, you can make a case, and again, this is a shady case. I don't really want to make this case. You can make a case that the Bucks sucked, and then we got Bledsoe, and it was a notch up because we had a defensive guard, and Bledsoe was really good until the Celtics series, and then he was really good the next year. And then that one year we were like 36-9, and then COVID, right? And Drew comes in like what, mid-COVID? I always kind of forget how that goes. But if you want to make, like, if I'm just a defense attorney and I'm just making the craftiest case I can make, and again, this isn't Middleton's fault, because if we were an all defensive team, but we didn't have Khris, but we had Drew and we had a good version of Brook and we had PJ and we had a bunch of dogs, then we could have traded for Khris Middleton. The same thing would have happened. But what we needed was Drew Holiday, right? So we added Drew Holiday to a younger Giannis and a very good defensive Brook and a PJ who told Bud to go sit in the corner. And that's the one time we won. And then PJ went away and we couldn't quite do it anymore. But still, the 2022 team was a defensive team and it was still pretty lethal, and they just fell short because those guys weren't quite as good enough. And everything else after that was just the clown show that it was back to MCW and Kid. But for one shining moment, like everybody got hurt, but for one shining moment, there was enough defense. There was greatness from Giannis. Yeah, we were only playing Booker and Ayton as like a big two, but like, and yeah, the Nets were hurt. But for 1 year, like, we had defense, we had Khris on offense, we had Drew, who was like ballsy and taking big shots, even though he wasn't making a whole lot of them, but did enough. And like for 1 year, there was enough defense and offense, and everything else has been like a clown car. And so, but then it's a gross reduction when it's just like, oh, it's a Giannis and Khris show. Isn't Khris like a Mount Rushmore buck? And it's like, no, he was just the guy who was going to take a lot of those shots. But on a defensive team, which is what we're slightly getting back towards, like, that's how you win. That's how, like, the 8-2 run is like an 8-4 run. Or that's how, like, the 10-point lead, like, doesn't go down to a 4-point lead. It's like a 7-point lead. And all that stuff, like, stacks. And so that's, I don't even know where I'm going with this. Like, again, Khris is bye, but like, yeah, it's not even about him. Like, this Ricky Pierce caliber like player just stuck around forever, and then it became about like this duo, and it's one of the jankiest duos in NBA history if you like want to look at it from that perspective.
Quick stat on the where are the Middleton tribute videos. I just searched Middleton tribute on YouTube. There's 2 videos. One's got 467 views, one has 59 views, and then it goes into Kate Middleton.
Oh. Is one of them mine from like 2017?
No, I don't see. They were like, you can't possibly mean Khris Middleton. It's literally all in the UK after the first 2 videos.
That's funny.
I very much enjoyed someone was like, people were so performatively angry there. People like, what is this video with Lisa calls? There's only Lisa calls. There's no Paschke and Johnny Mac. And I'm like, yeah, Lisa's awful. Like, what she called the games? Are you going to be mad that Lisa's calling a game? Like,
right.
Like, they're like, Milwaukee Bucks, you put in up a Middleton tribute after 12 years. And it's like, I don't know who's making this stuff, dude. I don't know. But like, it's cool. It's cool. Thank you for your service. You will be missed. You will be missed.
It was a fun ride.
Yeah.
Glad I got a championship out of it.
Dog, this got really negative at the end.
I'm not. I was just defending my boy like I always have. I always get attacked by you guys, but I can take a lot of it, but eventually I have to
once again, this wasn't your fault.
Try to pull a little balance into it.
Once again, everything you said, no one here, I don't think anyone here disagrees with what you said, Kendrick.
I don't.
Thinking about what other people said that got us fired up. And
I see. Yeah, I think that people get a little overboard. You know, and then they were like, oh man, it sucks. Why did you have to trade him to Washington? Because Washington was only one had their wallet out. What are you talking about? Stop being silly.
Washington said they wanted him for leadership, and he sat out for rest and hasn't played yet. It's Like he hasn't played yet.
It's
Like,
a scale. It's Jordan
he takes a
Peele.
long time to heal. But it's a trash team, man. They don't have anybody. They're not trying to win. They're trying to tank.
so they need to put Khris in the game.
Nah, I don't even. They might as well let him just sit along sidelines and just do therapy and try to trade him on that expiring contract next year. If I was Washington, I wouldn't risk getting them hurt in these meaningless games. That's how I would play it, as far as a team aspect. I was just glad that we were able to get underneath that apron. The cash deal when we sent DeLon Wright out for Jericho Sims. Who else? We were not able to get rid of Pat Connaughton. Why? Because nobody wanted him, and it's like,
yep.
But I was glad that we were able to get some financial flexibility. I wish that he was healthy more than I wish that he was here. I wish that, I hate the way it ended, but it's not his fault or my fault, But I'm a realist. I'm a Bucks fan. I've been through some trash teams, man. Season ticket holder. So I root for the Milwaukee Bucks. These players, they age out, they injury out, they leave for money. I got to root for Milwaukee still. So
Kendrick,
yep.
In your opinion, who leaked the fraudulent story that Khris was Giannis' best man?
I don't know. I never even heard that. I don't really care about what happens on the outside sideline stuff like that.
But again, much like the Luka thing, that only makes him look good and valuable. It don't have to be Khris, or it can be an agent or representative, but like they all went to this dude's wedding. His brother is there, whoever his real friends are, and a bunch of players are there. Portis is there, right?
I have no idea. He was not. Has it been revealed he was not his best man?
Again, it's like a lie. What's the saying that a lie goes around the world before like the truth puts his pants on in the morning, whatever. Like, I don't know. And then it was like, according to AI, which means nothing, Giannis didn't have a best man. And it was just a bunch of dudes at his wedding, according to the last time I looked. Who cares who's Giannis' wedding? But again, it's like these weird little bits of spin that were out there that was like, oh man, he'll never get rid of this guy who never plays. And at the very same time, the locker room is on fire because Khris gets cleared and doesn't play. So who benefits? Like, follow the money. Who benefits from a fake story about how he's his best friend in the world with the Nassus right there? Who benefits from that story being out there?
It's
another Antetokounmpo brother no one knew about.
I'm looking at a video.
Antetokounmpo.
Let me see here.
Was it the Red Hood in the Batman who's Robin who comes back?
Is he Jason Todd?
Yeah. Emo Jimmy did it. I can't wait because did anyone watch the Warriors game against Chicago with Jimmy Butler and them playing?
It's all a highlight.
Yeah, okay. They look good. There's avenues where they're not. It's gonna be hard to stop both Curry and Butler. However, I think we should all say we're signing up to watch every game for the rest of the season because there's no way this gets to the postseason without him and Draymond getting into a fight. There's no way.
Right.
Jimmy Butler's trying to be on his best behavior and trying to act like he's all happy because otherwise he'd look absolutely crazy right now, right? If you're just mad everywhere, you look crazy. So he's going to try to be on his best behavior for a little bit, but he ain't going to be able to hold it in. And Draymond's not going to – Jimmy be yelling at people. Draymond ain't going to let people yell at him. Like,
right. There's like a RDC World skit about that where he's playing both Draymond and Jimmy and they're like fake shadow boxing and it's sort of amusing. From Grok AI, which you shouldn't believe to be any more credible than anything else. The question of who was Giannis' best man at his wedding has seen various reports and clarification. Initially, multiple sources, including web articles and X posts, suggested that Khris was the best man at the wedding. Several reports from websites like LarryBrownSports.com posts on X indicated that Middleton served as the best man. Eurohoops.net also reported that he was present. Later clarification suggested otherwise. A post on Reddit and an article from Eurohoops later provided more nuanced information, suggesting that Middleton did not fill that role. The article specifically noted that the wedding did not include a best man, which contrasts with initial reports report by Portis saying that wasn't the truth, or a post on X that both affirmed him as the best man and others that challenged this narrative, suggesting might be part of a broader narrative to create controversy and misinformation. Giving this conclusion, while early reports from various sources claim Khris Middleton was the best man, subsequent clarifications from more reliable sources suggest there was no best man at the wedding, or that initial reports may have been incorrect. It's essential to include validity, blah, 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 blah. No traditional best man at the wedding.
All right.
Yes,
so
please.
Going down this.
I just don't care. I don't care.
It's not that it's funny. It's funny, right? Because it's just somebody said and it got written. That's funny to me because someone's like, all right, cool, I'll write that down. And then it was like a lie. That's funny out on the jump. However, prove to me through 3 things we've seen that Giannis even likes Middleton. Remember that All-Star game where he purposely ran him down from behind and blocked him and he acted like he didn't know it was Middleton?
Right. Well, again,
I didn't know.
He just says stuff, man. He's a lovable guy. He just says stuff. Drew is his best friend. Jabari's his best friend. Michael Carter-Williams is his best friend. Nobody's going anywhere. His brother's on the team. He loves everybody. He loves Budenholzer. He loves Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd's like another father to him. Like he just be saying stuff. Like everybody's got a friend.
I know. That's what makes it funny to me. That's what makes it funny.
Well, me and Khris, many years, this time has been Khris, me and Khris. Yeah. I'm sure they're cool.
Yeah, they're fine. But like he tries to make occasionally he tries to make it seem like they are tight. Like I can't. Could you imagine like Giannis actually kicking it with Middleton on the weekends? Because I can't.
He's got a wife and a bajillion kids. Like
I know.
Again,
not that he should be kicking it with any of these dudes for that point, but I can't imagine. Like Middleton seems like he goes to a party and like sits in the corner and plays on his phone.
I don't think he goes to parties.
I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Well,
right.
We had that.
I think he's got 2 kids too now.
We had that 2016 leak from.
He was always a homebody
before that Lakers game, but even for me, this seems negative. Like I said, you will be missed, man. You gave us some great games and some bad games. You will be missed. Chiefs rest in ashes. Were you rooting? I didn't care one way or the other. Yeah, I'm ready to stop too. Anything else?
Nope.
No.
That's all, folks.
Yeah,
that's all for me.
Da.